teacher Geli. In today's English lesson, we are going to learn useful words and phrases when talking about our childhood memories. Childhood is such a golden time that our hearts can never forget. Do you know the right words to use so you can share some of the wonderful memories you had back then? Well, let's learn how to do so by watching this video.
Grandmother, I want to hear some stories of your childhood.
Sure, my dear. You can ask me questions if you have.
Where were you born?
I was born and raised on a small farm in Townsville 65 years ago. The thing I like most about living on a farm when I was a kid was the change of seasons. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter, I used to sit on the front porch and watch each season come and go.
Who took care of you when you were little?
When I was a toddler, my grandparents took care of me and my sister. Our grandparents used to look after us because our parents were working hard in the big city. But at age 3, we moved there and lived with our parents.
How are you similar to your parents?
I take after my mother. We're very similar in our tastes, our likes, dislikes, and our personality. But I have my father's eyes and smile.
I see. What did you like to do when you were a child?
I enjoyed playing with dolls with my sister. After school, we would sew clothes for them. We felt like we're fashion designers. My sister and I used to play pretend games too. My sister would pretend to be a doctor, and I would be the nurse. It was so fun. We would do our homework together. We would finish our homework fast so we could watch our favorite cartoons. We would eat our favorite snacks together. My sister is my best friend.
That's so sweet, Grandma. Did you play outside too?
Yes, we used to play with our neighbors. We would play tag, hide and seek, dodge a ball, and other games that involved a lot of running. But the most memorable one was when my father taught me how to ride a bicycle.
How old were you when you learned to ride a bicycle?
I was 7 years old when I first learned how to ride it. Ever since I learned it, I would bike around our neighborhood with my sister standing on the rear peg.
You sound like you had a lot of fun, Grandma. By the way, do you remember your first day at school?
I don't remember much, but I know my parents accompanied me on my first day of school. They would take a leave from work when my sister and I had important school events. They never missed an event even though they were very busy at work.
Weren't you nervous on the first day?
Just a bit, yeah. But my parents were there to support me.
I understand, Grandma. As a child, what were you scared of?
When I was a child, I used to be scared of sharks. Every summer, my family would go to the beach and spend some relaxing time together. But I was heavily influenced by shark movies back in the day, so I never dared to swim far from the shore.
That's pretty funny. Speaking of animals, tell me about the first animal you kept as a pet, Grandma.
My first pet was a dog named Trixie. She was very playful. We used to play fetch on weekends.
Trixie looks so adorable. Overall, how would you describe your childhood in one word, Grandma?
I believe I had a wonderful childhood. It was a time of growing. It was a time of learning. It was a time of building a strong family bond. It was indeed wonderful.
Before we begin studying useful words and phrases, let me remind you that when talking about an action that is already completed and finished, we need to use the past tense form of the verb in our sentences. I will give you 5 examples of verbs and their past tense forms. Dance, danced. Walk, walked. Enjoy, enjoyed. Ride, rode. Take, took. Eat, ate. Here are some useful phrasal verbs when talking about childhood memories. To grow up. It means to get older and mature from being a child to being an adult. For example, I grew up in the Philippines and then I moved to Canada. To be born and raised. It means to live and be taken care of through childhood in a specific place. For example, I was born and raised on a small farm in Townsville. You can also use this pattern if the places you were born and raised in are different. The pattern will be, I was born in A but raised in B. For example, I was born in Gunma but raised in Tokyo. To look after someone. It means to take care and be in charge of someone. For example, her grandparents looked after her while her parents worked during the day. To take after someone. It means to resemble an older relative, usually a parent. For this phrasal verb, we don't need to change it to its past form since we're talking about a fact that can be true in the present. For example, I take after my mother, but I have my father's eyes and smile. Now that we're done with commonly used phrasal verbs, let's proceed to studying more useful phrases. Tip number 1. To begin a specific point in the past, you can use the phrases when I was a kid, when I was, and at the age of. Remember that your verbs must be in the past tense form. For example, when I was a kid, I often went to the beach to go swimming. When I was 4, I learned how to write the alphabet. Or you can also say, at the age of 4, I learned how to write the alphabet. Tip number 2. When talking about unspecific times in the past, you can use the following phrases. In the past, back in the day, back then, and in the good old days. For example, I lived in the US in the past. I lived in the US back in the day. I lived in the US back then. I lived in the US in the good old days. Tip number 3. Used to. We use this for past actions that were regular or frequent habits, and they don't happen now. The first pattern will be used to plus infinitive form of verb. For example, I used to play badminton when I was a university student. Now, I don't play it anymore, perhaps because I have become busy or I don't have anyone to play it with. Another pattern will be used to plus be plus adjective. For example, I used to be shy. Now, I'm not shy anymore. Tip number 4. Would. Use would in the same function as used to. For example, I used to go fishing on weekends with my friends. In this way, we can also say,
I would go fishing on weekends with my friends.
Let's do it again, but this time I will ask you about your childhood. Don't worry, you will be guided by the patterns you will see on your screen. The challenge is you have to make your own answers now. Are you ready? Let's do it! Where were you born? Who took care of you when you were little? How are you similar to your parents? What did you like to do when you were a child? What games did you use to play back then? As a child, what were you scared of? Tell me about the first animal you kept as a pet. Last question. How would you describe your childhood in one word? That was so wonderful. I hope you learned something today and see you again in our next English lesson.